think the only thing you and I can connect on is our dance moves in the club scene.
Okay.
You and I kind of dance similar. I have to ask before we get into the nitty gritty, how many takes was that? And did anybody comment on how you broke it down?
It was a couple takes. It was, what's the meaning of the term ad hoc? What does that mean? What does ad hoc mean?
Honestly, I'm drawing a blank. I just really want to hear this answer.
So it was, the scene was just kind of thrown in improvisationally, right? Spike just decided on the moment just to kind of throw it in. So I think we maybe did 2 long takes where Ari, the camera person, had the camera, and we did 2 revolutions of the club. So I think it was very, very improvised. It was very last minute, and it's been terrific, actually, that people have responded to that particular scene, given that it was improvised and kind of just thrown in at the last minute.
I just think that, when we tried to bond with someone who's got such a career, such as yourself, Mr. Lindo, when we see you breaking it down like that, we're like, okay, well, there it is. That's how we connect. But let's get to the matter at hand. Let's talk about Defy Bloods. How much preparation?
Hold on a second. I want to respond to what you just said.
All
Hopefully,
right.
what you're seeing is another aspect of this man's humanity, right? And it's not well thought out. It's completely, because it was improvised, because it was improvisational. It was entirely, organic to the moment. One just did it. But that's a good thing, because to the extent that it expresses something about the humanity, really, of all these men, and their desire to have a good time, for God's sake, which is fantastic, given where the story ends. Your second, go ahead.
Yeah, the preparation. Can you touch on that? Like, what did you do to prepare for this role?
Yeah. One of the first things I did was talk to vets who had experience with PTSD. The first 2 were my cousins, 2 cousins that I have who both were in Vietnam. I then spoke with additional vets by phone, vets who were referred to me. I then read a lot of books. I reread a book called Bloods, which is a book edited by a man named Wallace Terry, verbatim accounts of Black soldiers, Vietnam vets, African-American vets, and their experiences in Nam. I reread Bloods. I read a number of other books. I looked at films. I looked at Ken Burns's documentary. I looked at a documentary that focused on the one platoon that was had an African-American commander in the late 60s. He was, I think, the only one. So I looked at film, I read books, and Spike arranged for 2 vets, Vietnam vets, to come in while we were in Thailand in rehearsal, and they came and spoke with us. So all of that, I put into the hopper and used as a foundation for my preparation for this work.
I've seen many of your films. I mean, it'd take hours to get into all of them, but the thing that I noticed about this film most of all is when I was watching you, as opposed to some of your other films, I felt like you were so into Paul that if I was to talk to you on set, I wouldn't be talking to you, I would be talking to Paul. Is that a fair assessment, or?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that. That's a compliment, because one commits to the work, one commits to what one is doing as deeply as possible. So if you're getting that, if that's what's being transmitted, that's what I want to be transmitted. Not that I want people to be afraid of me, but simply that I want people to believe that I am who I say I am.
So when you're in this environment and you have Spike, directing on another level, because this is some of his best work of his career, in my opinion, and you see Chadwick and you see the ensemble, they're all just a bunch of heavyweights bringing their A game. As an actor, does that bring up your levels, or just motivate you to even get into it even more so?
You know, I don't think like that, and I don't think any of us do or did. You know, taking a half a step back and responding to a journalist's question, I can say yes, yeah, but that's not what was happening in the moment. What was happening in the moment was one saw, experienced, acknowledged an equal commitment that we all had to making this story. And it was completely organic. It was not spoken, it was not articulated. But I tell you what, when you got on set and you were making the work, there was not a slouch in the bunch. We were doing what we were supposed to do. So there may be an unconscious um, raising of the game, raising of one's game. But if it is, it's unconscious. Um, having said that, there were moments when there would be an acknowledgement of what somebody had done in a particular scene, an acknowledgement of what I had done from Spike, from my cast members, and so from that standpoint, one was aware that one was working at a certain level, but for the most part, it was completely unspoken, man, and it was very organic, and that's as it should be, I think. Arguably, you could say the only time you need to think or discuss these things is when it's not working, perhaps. And on this, it was working, and we were all there, and I'm so proud of the result. And I'm also deeply affirmed that audiences have responded in the way that they have responded.